Woo!
It's all right.
Oh, I had needed to pray before. Hold on, let me pray right quick.
One, two, one, two. What's up, YouTube? How are you? Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com, coming to you again. What's this, another interview? Of course it is, because you know what? I've got people I want you to meet, people I want you to see, and people I want you to know. And who better than to show you someone else that I'm related to, that I'm honored to have as a guest, that I'm so, actually, I just saw her like a month or two ago for our grandmother's 90th birthday. And this is my cousin, Alexis Lans. Formally, won't give her maiden name and all, but she's an author, she's a realtor, she's a mother of 5, 2 sets of twins, but I won't give you their names. But she's successful, she's doing a lot, and if you mess with her, her husband might lock you up, and I'll let you know about that later. Alexis, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good, Phil. How you doing?
I'm good. So let's open up the floor and tell little people about you, who you are, why you're here. You're an author of the book Encounters with God. Whew. So powerful. So tell us a little bit about yourself and let's get this show started.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me. I really appreciate it very much, cousin or not. I'm going to treat you like a stranger on this show. So like you said, yes, my name is Alexis Lans. I'm also Pastor Lans. I'm pastor of Breakthrough Ministries. I got ordained back in 2022. And I am a mother of 5, 2 sets of twins, and I'm also married. So got a lot of titles. I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, prayer warrior. So I got a lot of titles that comes with me. And of course, I'm a cousin. So there's just a little background about me. My children are 24 years old. My oldest, she's a registered nurse at the current moment. And then I got 18-year-old twins who's currently attending their 2nd year of college. And then I got 8-year-old twins who are around here doing the thing, keeping me on my toes. So also been married for 5 years. Pray to God, he give me many, many more. But my support system inside this home is very strong. So that's where most of my support comes from. And then of course, I got my parents and my siblings and host of family and friends that supports me as well.
Hey, all right. So let me ask you this. You're out of the Virginia area, right? Right near the Virginia Beach area?
Yes.
All right, cool. And tell us a little bit about, let's just jump into the book a little bit. Let's just talk about what inspired you to write this book, because I'm an author, you're an author, we got another cousin that's an author. It seems like authors are just popping up out of the family. So what got you inspired with being an author, and why did you decide to tell us your story?
For one, like you said, it's in our bloodline, right? So it's already there. I've been writing ever since I was a young girl. Didn't really understand that I was gifted in it, but I should have known, because I used to write poetry and it just comes from nowhere. So if you had an issue going on, I can relate your issue. I used to write for funerals, relationships. If you give me an issue, I'd be able to write it something that you can find in a movie or in a book. That's how good it was. And I just never carried it with it. When it came to the book, the Lord spoke to me in my prayer closet. That's where the Lord usually have my encounters, is in the prayer closet. And he told me to write a book. And I told him no, because when he told me to write the book, I had to write the book of my experiences in life and my experiences with him. How dare I wanted to tell that? To me, those were sacred. A lot of those moments that I had with God, I felt like no one would understand. So it's not believable. And I didn't think that that's something I wanted to share, because it was personal. And plus, putting my life out there, some things had to be personal to share the experiences as well. And I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't want to be judged, right or wrong. So it was hard for me to obey when I was first given the assignment.
I'm
a hard lady, right? So,
I just obeying. And it's always a little tough for some people to do is obey, especially since
It was tough for me to obey when he first spoke, right?
yeah.
We will all kneel before Zod.
So, folks, there's a little bit of a family joke. So let me just bring it out to the audience. They may not know that, Alexis and I, we're actual blood cousins. You know what I mean? Like we when I say cousins, it's not a black thing. Like we share the same bloodline. My mother and her father are brother and sister. So actually, you all may remember her brother, my cousin CJ, who we've interviewed a year or so ago, that was also on the show. So it's a family thing. Now it's Alexis Lans, not Lands, like Lands. Land.
Not Ancestry Lands.
Right. Although you can roll some realtor checks.
Come on, Clean. Come on over here. Come on in. Let's show up.
Take off the D and keep the S, sir.
And so we're blood cousins, so there's a little bit of a little undertow of family stuff going on here. So let me ask you this: when I read this book, all right, there were some things that obviously I did not know. We will not get into the history of our family and the cracks that may be. That'll be for a later date and time. But there were things in here that I didn't know you went through a struggle. I did not know that you lived a life where you really had to think about your children first, that you had to kind of struggle to find your way to where you are now, your journey now, that you went through times where you felt like abandoned by, well, we all feel like family should be there to support us, present party excluded. But, you felt like you had to take part of this journey alone in life. And that can be heartbreaking. And a lot of women don't get support or even get to be heard about what that struggle is like. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. And going back to what you first asked, so it inspired me to write the book. And I think that has a lot to do with it. God wanted me to get my story out, especially, I believe, to women, to share with them, like, he's your support system. He's a mother to the motherless and the father to the fatherless. So when he told me to write the book, when I finally started to obey, my problem was I didn't know what to write it about. So I made that another issue. So finally, I told him, I'll write this book, but I don't know what to write about. I don't have a title. And as soon as I finished prayer line that night with about 40 people, as soon as I got out of prayer line, I said that to him. And by the time I came out the closet, one of the women on the prayer line texted me and she said, you should write a book. Because I was giving a testimony after I was done praying. And she said, about your encounters with God. And it was like, oh, wow. He didn't wait to answer a day later, a month later. He answered minutes later of what to write that book about. That's why I knew it was prominent to get it out. So yes, to go back to, the beginning, I mean, hey, I grew up in a broken home, and I think, over half of Americans have. We grew up in broken homes, and sometimes when the fathers are not in the home, things happen. And that's what happened to me. Things happened to me because my mother had to work, right? And family come in to watch over us, and family don't always do family. And I believe that's where the secret starts with families. The secrets are there. Don't tell, don't say anything. And we're become more broken because those who we trusted, right, is the ones who always abuse and use us. It's always those who we trusted. And then we have to constantly see them because we don't know how to be vocal as children. We don't know how to tell our parents. So we keep seeing these people who lost our trust, but the ones that we trust, our parents, are socializing with them, loving on them. And we don't understand, how can you love on them when they've been hurting me? But the parents don't know, right? So, that's how my situation took place. And I think a lot of people can relate. It's family this and family that, but family the ones that destroy us at a young age. And I believe many people can relate to that. And so all it did to me was made me a mother hen. It made me watch over and protect my children harder, to work around my children, not my children working around me. I don't turn down job offers from the FBI. I turned down being a lawyer because
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Because I knew they are not the normal 8-to-5 jobs. Those take up many hours, many days gone. And that's not what I wanted for my children.
Got it. Okay. And first of all, I'm not doing this for the show. That's very admirable because you have very rarely women that do that, actually men too as well, that look at their children and say, hey, I'm going to really invest in you. And that's something I've spoken about before. Let me ask you, what are some of the things that you experienced while going through this personally? Because we have mental health being an issue now, and very, kind of something that in America is a very heavily thing. And I guess from a man's point of view, we just see, women as something's wrong with them. Oh, they have these and that issues. And we don't know about what you go through in the dark, what you go through when you're alone and you finally have the kids to bed at the end of the day. And you're there by yourself trying to get, tomorrow's coming and it's another day to be conquered. What is that like for you when you've gone through it at your worst?
I think us women are emotional creatures, right? So when we get emotional, sometimes we can't control those emotions. Mm-hmm. And if we're not giving those emotions out to the right person who can perceive and interpret what it is that we're going through, you're right. We're looked at as crazy. We're looked at we can't control ourselves. But our emotion sometimes comes out as anger, as frustration, as hurt. It's a cry out, right? And that was me. Growing up, I was always told she got a nasty attitude. She's mean.
Will chop you up with her tongue. She's got a nice, nasty attitude.
Disrespectful. I was told those things, but it was a cry for help in certain ways that I didn't know how to cry. I didn't know how to call out for the help. And that's when I learned that I was set aside at a young age. The Lord started showing me things. He showed me visions, that he prepared things for me and that it was going to come to surpass. And that's when I started changing who I was calling, who my help was, because family was quick to judge, right? Family was quick to, like you just said, call out different names of who I could be instead of what's wrong with her. Let me get down to the bottom line, because usually when somebody acting out, it's a cause and effect. It's a cause behind what it is that is making me do what I'm doing, right? So I started leaning towards the Lord. I started leaning on, I remember that vision at 9 years old. I remember what you showed me. And then I learned that he's my present help in a time of need. He's my shoulder to cry on. He's the person I can tell my secrets to that won't tell nobody else. And then I learned that it's a thing called demons. And I'm learning that demons can infiltrate anybody. Right. And the more I got around people and could see the difference in people, that's when I realized that they are real. And I realized that a lot of people harvest these demons, right? So let's say me and you got a feud with one another. You don't understand what it is that you're doing. A lot of times people have a demon inside of them. And that's why the Bible says we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against the powers and principalities of this world. So then I learned to forgive. And that's what forgiveness came in. So when you read my book, a lot of times I'm getting asked, what do you say to that person that did these things to you? I forgave them, right? The Lord said we got to forgive 70 times 7. I have to forgive them so I can move on. Forgive them so I can help somebody else to move on. Because once you're holding that burden of what happened yesterday, it's hard for you to move on with your today, and you darn sure won't make it into your tomorrow.
Wow, well, that's facts on that one. When you've been, let's say, disobedient, you weren't obeying, what was causing that? Was that a demon in you that made you not obey, or was it something else that was, you were refusing God, if you will?
It could have been. It could have been a demon, until I got saved and everything like that. It could have been. I always was in church. I always had one foot inside the door, one foot in the world, one foot into church. So I was always listening to God. It just had to take the Holy Spirit in me to change me from the things that was not of God. So was it that, or was it the disobedience in me? I don't know which one it was, but all I know is I had to keep being drawn into the light out of darkness. And that took years. And like you said, being alone, that was the time I really sought the Lord. When me and my children's dad split and I had to take care of 3 kids by myself, that was hard. It was hard, but my determination was my children, right? I was going to school, trying to get a degree. I ended up getting an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, then a master's degree, a mother of 3. I didn't let nothing stop me. And that's my promote to women today. Don't let having a child stop you, but make that be your determination. Make that be that drive inside of you that said, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. I am going to do something and be something for my children. I didn't look for no handout. I didn't look for anything from anybody. What I looked for was the system. I wanted that financial aid, right? That's what it's there for. You don't have the income, let financial aid be able to take care of you. I look for those type of handouts, and they was my stepping stones to get those degrees, to show my children, if I can do it, you can do it. I couldn't promote my children to be the best you can be if I wasn't the best I could be. So I let that be my drive and my determination. And when I put everybody else aside and I focused on my children and myself, that's when my ears tuned to the Lord. And I was really able to hear him speak to me clearly, who to forgive, how to let that go, how to get over this hurdle, how to get over that hurdle, how this financial thing is not going to stop me, but it's going to move me in a better direction. I mean, I was scraping pennies, man, with 3 kids.
Right.
So
did you say scraping panties or pennies?
Pennies, scraping
Pennies. Okay, got it. I was going to say, woo, got to know that part. You might have.
Scraping pennies.
Okay, the viewers out there want to know because they might need clarification. I do have listeners in Russia, so they might say, she was scraping pennies. Okay, so let me ask this now. I'm gonna press you a little bit because in your book, when people read it, it does talk about that you were a teenage mother, correct?
Correct.
All right, because I actually read the book, and I want to let my viewers know too as well that this book will definitely cause some division, and I'd imagine that people it has caused division because people in the family haven't read it. So you should start reading it, and make sure when we come down for Thanksgiving, it's going to be an interesting one. So you had in your book, you talk about having a child, being a teenage pregnancy.
Right.
Do you, at that point, are you following, or do you feel like your life is walking down God's path, if you will, or you're following in the ways of that? Is that living in the ways that the Bible teaches, if you will? Because some people might look at that. In your book, you detail hardships that incur because of those choices. Now that we can look out and say that all worked out, but were you living within the Word?
It's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow.
I would say I was in the Word because I was forced to go to church. Mm-hmm. But when I had that relationship that I have with Jesus now? No, I didn't have that relationship I had. Once you get the relationship you have with Christ, it changes you. It makes you want to change. It makes you want to do better. And, I'll just give you a synopsis on the back of my book. Mm-hmm. It's like many people claim to have found Jesus, but I claim Jesus was never lost and he found me. Whether you're called young or elderly, the God of yesterday is the same God of today and forevermore. He will meet you where you are in life. That's where I was, right? Okay. I was at a point in life where I was trying to be grown. So yes, I got pregnant at a young age, but I was also on birth control pills to stop the pregnancy, right? So that's why that pregnancy in the book, it's kind of miraculous because they was going to remove her because she was stuck in my tubes. And when they went to remove her the next morning, she fell down. So I would say that we make mistakes in life, or we do things outside of God's word, right? So fornication was outside of his word, but what can be done after the mistake happened, right? God was with me. He helped me raise that child. He helped me to be a mother. So God is a father who forgives his children, right? So yes, I made a mistake. I was forgiven for that mistake. A lot of times we make mistakes and we feel like we are ashamed to go before God because of these mistakes. But he said, I will remember your sin no more. I will throw them and cast them away into the sea. So everybody else may have remembered my sin. Everybody else may have talked about me. She's pregnant at a young age. She's not going to do this. She's not going to do that. But you know what? The God was on the sideline cheering me on for it.
Okay. Do you believe in miracles, if you will? Would you consider what you talked about with your daughter, being stuck in your fallopian tubes? Oh, and people don't know, fornication means sex. So just...
The hell is that? Damn, bitch, was this a lightsaber or something?
I'm sorry, baby. I don't go south of the border. It's just one thing that Leonard Washington don't do.
But Leonard, it's okay. I'm waxed.
Damn. Now, I done heard of trimming the hedges, but you done scorched the earth. I smell your lightsaber.
Lightsaber?
So just so you don't know, some people may not be used to the old
That's
biblical terms.
That's
I
true.
just want everybody to know what she means when she says it. Laying down and performing coitus for those nursing people. So, so back to what you were saying is that why is it now? Okay, let me go and dig into the pastor part. Why is it so tough for people to believe in miracles? Why does it seem like people are so far away from the belief in a higher power?
If you've liked this video so far, stay tuned for part 2 of our exciting interviews with Alexis Lans. In the meantime, make sure you follow Alexis for inspiration, prayer, and motivation for your daily needs. Links in the description section below on where to find Alexis Lans on social media. Ancestry Lands is proud to bring this amazing content. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, folks, AncestryLands.com is where you go to own property. You'll either own property or be owned as property. We'll see you in the next video.